Trump had to be one of the most dramatic presidents ever. You would think that as a candidate for the presidential election, he would be more careful about who he chooses to talk about. But of course, he has to go after pop culture celebrities who have nothing to do with him or his politics. This time, he went after Taylor Swift, but did she keep quiet? No, of course not. She ended up obliterating him. Why did Trump talk trash about someone like Taylor? And how did Taylor respond to this situation? Trump is not the person you think of when you think about the list of people who try to hit on Taylor Swift. But of course, Trump just can't keep his words to himself and has to make vulgar and creepy comments to the pop culture icon. In a recent interview with the editor of Variety magazine, Ramin Sotoudeh, the editor, had asked Trump what he thought about Taylor Swift as a gag to see what the 77-year-old man thought about the Queen of Pop.
Talk about Taylor Swift, and we can talk about Taylor Swift. She apparently has a new admirer in Donald Trump. In an interview for a forthcoming book about the former president.
Well, you heard it, folks. Donald Trump took the time to appreciate Taylor Swift in the middle of discussing his new book, filled with his experiences and reflections on his time on the show, The Apprentice. I guess it's time to brand him as a Swiftie. Now let's see what wonderful compliment he has left the Queen of Pop music. But knowing Trump, it will be anything but tasteful. Well, as usual, it is just a bunch of incoherent rambling. It doesn't seem like he has anything much of substance to say about her. But Trump definitely does take the time to assume her political stance and make sure to not insult her. In all honesty, it's surprising that he hasn't even taken one cheap shot at her. It almost seems like he is trying to hit on her by saying her music is nice and how nice she looks. He almost makes an extra effort to let her know how pretty she is. Maybe Donald has not been worn out by the already numerous scandals he is and has been a part of. For those of you who do not know, Donald is already embroiled in several scandalous relations, all while being married to Melania.
A jury of 12 of his Manhattan peers found that the 45th president deliberately falsified business records as part of a cover-up to influence the outcome of the 2016 election. So what did he do? Trump paid his former lawyer and fixer $130,000 in a series of payments to buy the silence of this woman, Stormy Daniels, who claims she had sex with Mr. Trump in a hotel suite in Nevada in 2006.
As you can see, Trump is no stranger to scandals and calls sleaziness his friend. What makes it all the more scummier is the fact that he did all of this while his wife was pregnant. But wait till you find out what he said when he found out what her political views were. I don't think Donald understands how far out of his own bounds he is at this point. He is talking about someone who has for the past decade been the face of pop music and has millions if not billions of followers around the globe. If you take a closer look at Trump's comments, you will notice that he is talking about her like he has a crush on her, listing out the good and bad.
Going into question her political beliefs. Is she as liberal or is it just an act? He asked during the interview. She's legitimately liberal. It's not an act. It surprises me that a country star can be successful being liberal.
He clearly seems to be having a hard time about the fact that she endorsed Joe Biden's political efforts. Remember how we said that he assumed she was liberal? This was because he was trying to hold out hope that she was secretly some covert Republican waiting to show her true colors. Donald seems to think that being a popular country musician and being liberal are two mutually exclusive things. Donald is really desperate to be noticed by Taylor, and it's starting to become really pathetic. Donald seems to forget the fact that she isn't even in the same age ballpark as him. She is literally half his age. Trump's absolute bewilderment at the fact that a woman like her can become successful with her political beliefs is funny. It really puts into view what kind of bubble Donald seems to be living in, where he thinks that everyone in the world agrees with, when they, in fact, do not. If Donald wants to measure someone's success by the weight of their political beliefs, perhaps if he did it to himself, he wouldn't be talking so much and trying to connect success with political beliefs. If we were to follow Donald's path of logic, every failed decision and affair he had was a result of politics and nothing else.
She is actually probably the one celebrity I think that actually has the power to move a significant number of votes.
Probably right. Yeah, I think it's a matter of now whether she would ever want to get involved. I think in 2020, 2016, where I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, different time for celebrities to inject themselves into politics, become political actors. Very different now. And I'll tell you, Donald Trump, Taylor Swift, it's like the page clicks like big bang, like two massive forces coming together.
The anchors are right. Taylor does have a lot of influence and is able to make her fans do things with just a word. It's almost scary how Swifties try and fulfill her wishes when she says it. Maybe it's this that has pulled Donald in because he likes a woman who has a lot of power. But what Trump seems to forget is the fact that he isn't some charming 25-year-old fella who can sway her with his words. It's more funny how Trump has switched over from hating Swift to praising her so much when you take into account that he was jealous that she won Time magazine's Person of the Year award in 2023 and claimed that he deserved it more than her because he was more famous than her. Someone wake Donald up from his fantasy land and bring him back to reality. Trump definitely needs to learn how influential the pop titan is. It's a blessing that she doesn't try and get involved in the world of politics because, with the kind of pull she has, she would take over the US immediately. But you have to give credit where it's due. Trump does make some hilarious jokes. The jokes are so smart that even he doesn't get it at times. Just watch what he says when he was asked about the legal charges that were piled against him.
What's happened to us, again, has never happened before. Over nonsense, over nothing, made up charges. I often say Al Capone, he was one of the greatest of all time, if you like criminals.
Very subtle, Donald. Nice going by comparing yourself to Al Capone, a guy who treated everyone around him like dirt and murdered a lot of people. Hey, he's halfway there already. Is he foreshadowing the next half, if he wins the presidency? Talking about Donald and Taylor brings to memory a time when Taylor publicly endorsed two Democratic politicians in her hometown of Tennessee, to which Trump reacted by saying that he liked her music by about 25% less now. How do you think Taylor responded to this? Keep watching to find out. I think the Queen of Pop is the only person to be actively liked by Trump, although she supports Democratic politicians. Donald couldn't even bring himself to call her music trash and delivered the lightest possible insult he could by saying that he likes her music 25% less now. It seems like Donald has been vying for her attention since day one and has been throwing subtle hints all the time, but I guess that he decided to go the direct route and just confess outright that he is interested in her. Donald has to remember how big Taylor is at times and make sure he doesn't make her angry because it could very well affect the votes that he gets. If you think she doesn't have such levels of power, watch this clip.
Taylor Swift seems to have an effect on nearly everything, and now she's making an impact on young voters. More than 35,000 new voters have been registered after Swift encouraged her followers to sign up on National Voter Registration Day, September 19th. Vote.org says that 23% increase from last year's efforts. The nonprofit CEO also says the site was averaging 13,000 visitors every 30 minutes, a nod to the singer's lucky number 13, apparently.
That's right. She just influenced nearly 35,000 young Americans to be responsible adults and register themselves to vote. The traffic to the website was so large that the organization that runs the website was overwhelmed with the sudden influx of new voters. You might be thinking she did this by posting a long video telling her fans to register, but no, all of this traffic was from one simple Instagram story. How many people do you think she would have gotten to vote for her if she indeed ran for the presidency? Swift says that any and all political action she has ever taken during the course of her career has to be attributed to Trump. But she did not mean this in a good manner. She says this because she believed that what Trump had done to the country was nothing short of deplorable. She says that her 2018 endorsement of her hometown politicians, and every other small political act after that, has been and always will be because of Trump. The best part is that Trump isn't even safe from comedians after making some atrocious comments on how he is more popular than Taylor Swift. Just watch.
Well, people are talking about this. Former President Trump has been telling people that he's more popular than Taylor Swift and has more committed fans. I'm not sure Trump has more committed fans, but he definitely has more fans who have been committed. Look closely, it turns out Taylor and Trump actually have a lot in common.
Really?
Yeah, for instance, Taylor is the most streamed artist on Spotify, passing Bad Bunny, while Trump passed a cognitive test where he said he knew which animal was the bunny.
Trump has been suffering the shame of being the poster boy for the "Don't Go After Taylor Swift" movement. In addition to the several scandals they have to pick on, they also struck comedy gold when Trump started whining about how much more popular he was than Taylor. Trump really has to be careful when he sides with celebrities. One of the only people he ever publicly endorsed was Kanye. And well, let's take a look at what Kanye did most recently that gave him a spot on the news channels.
Kanye posted a series of tweets, once again targeting Jewish people. using the phrase DEFCON 3.
The rap star lashing out, tweeting, "I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I am going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who ever opposes your agenda."
Yikes, seems like the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. He's also too busy fending off hate speech lawsuits himself. I think this Jimmy Kimmel clip perfectly sums up how Trump will lose if he keeps going after Swift.
This fight he's about to pick with Taylor Swift, this might be what does it. It won't be January 6th, it won't be the election fraud or the sexual assault or dancing with Jeffrey Epstein or even fathering Don Jr. What's finally going to bring down Donald Trump will be an army of pissed off Swifties.
Trump better back off from Taylor Swift, because if he crosses a line with her, the Swifties definitely won't let him forget this.